Week number 8 of the 2025 SEC football season is officially in the books. And as you can tell, it was a fun one because I've barely got a voice right now. Either way, we're going to try to power through, guys. This is the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC football show, the best SEC football show on the internet. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. We've got lots to discuss. Obviously, everything that took place in week number 8, all of our reactions. Also, the big news today, Billy Napier officially out at Florida. We'll give our full reactions to that and just discuss the timing, right move, wrong move, and what's next for the Gators. We've also got some other coaches that are on some hot seats and are dealing with their own fan bases, might be in trouble. Again, there is tons to discuss. And again, guys, we appreciate you all being along with us. Make sure, as always, you hit that like and subscribe button. If you are on YouTube, we are closing in ever so close to 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. We can't do it without your love and support. And guys, also make sure you check out our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. Get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that is FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. This is the Overtime Drive Sunday Fun Day edition, week number 8. We are here reacting to everything that took place over week 8, also reacting to the biggest news of the day, Billy Napier getting canned at Florida, some other stuff we're going to dive into as well. Lots to get after, lots to discuss, lots to banter. And again, as always, I'm Chris Phillips. Joining me, as he always does, my co-host, colleague, partner in crime, Cole the Bear Thompson. Bear, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time. Really excited to discuss everything with you as best I can. I don't know if it was the game or it was Broadway or it was somewhere in between, but the voice is a little bit on the DL, but we're going to power through it either way. This is the SEC this time of year. We pushed through adversity, my friend. It was a great weekend and really excited to be chatting with you.
They called me a madman. They called me a psycho. They called me stupid. They called me moronic. They said that I was not able to believe that somehow, some way, you need to believe that Diego Pavia and the DORES were going to find a way to get a win, get a signature win. And not only that, put themselves in the conversation for the college football playoff, which, well and behold, you might as well start believing in because all it takes is one more win. And just like that, they're right back in the saddle to punch their ticket towards a college football playoff. And you lose to Alabama. Nobody's complaining about that. You find a way to get the job done at home. Now people are saying all the time, how is Vanderbilt able to afford these type of games? How are they able to pull it off? The better question should be, ladies and gentlemen, how do you stop Vanderbilt from doing what it's been doing for over a year behind the voice, behind the Lord, the Savior, and behind maybe even the devil himself, Baba Yaga, Diego Pavia and company? What a weekend in the world of college football. Separation Saturday came. We have some games to discuss. More specifically, we have some jobs that we have got to talk about and what it means for the long term in certain locations across the country, including one stop down in Gainesville, Florida, that could create what I would call avalanche of opinions that occurs in the SEC.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to make Bear really jealous tonight because we're going to get into that Vandy LSU game, obviously, the trip to Nashville, everything else. Like I said, I mentioned Broadway. Let's just put it this way. I'll go in more detail in a second. Let's just say there was a little post-game celebration. There may not been a certain QB1 and his family that were in attendance that I got to hang out with last night. So pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. We had ourselves a good time. Guys, we're also, by the way, taking your questions and your comments, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. So please chime into the show. I see our friend Mizzou Shane. What is going on? Good evening to everyone except the people from Kansas. Love that. The Kansas hate never stops. Cole Patrick is up in here. Hottie Toddy, what's going on? P5, Caldry says ZOU. Stevie G says Boomer. What's up? What's up? Plain says the Tide won the cigar game. Yes, they did. Again, we got a lot to get into talking about that. But Bear, can we please first spend about 10 minutes or so getting into the big news of the day, and then we'll talk about all these games. Because if you somehow missed it, and it's been called for over a year from many in Gator Nation, the day has finally come. Billy Napier is officially out as Florida head coach. Bear, there was a lot of smoke earlier this week from national media, from local media. I talked to some Florida folks. You talked to some Florida folks. They were all kind of saying the same things. It sounded like there was going to be a move made, whether it was today, tomorrow. We didn't know the exact timing, that Billy Napier would be relieved of his duties. And when you think about it, I want to discuss the timing with you, but the timing, I would say, probably makes sense. I mean, you've got the bye week upcoming, your last one of the season. It's become painfully obvious, if it wasn't already, that change is needed, that this program is not going the direction it needs to under Billy Napier. Guys, for context, Billy Napier finishes his Florida career with a 22-23 overall record, 12-16 in SEC play. And again, you think about some of the notable losses, obviously, guys, recently losing to Miami back-to-back years in uncompetitive fashion, losing to South Florida, which, Bear, we can discuss, I think was probably the nail in the coffin that sealed his fate, because there was some optimism coming into this season that maybe this was going to be the year with all this talent, which Florida does have, and they haven't been able to maximize. So, Bear, your thoughts? Again, we kind of saw this coming because we got all of the reports earlier this week, but official, the Billy Napier era in Gainesville is over.
Yeah, the one stat that you left out is 0-14 away from the swamp in top 25 games. And if I'm not mistaken, he was 5-17 against ranked opponents and 3-12 against rivals Florida State, Georgia, LSU, Miami, and Tennessee, including 2 of those games happening last season. So the writing was on the wall that when you know what the expectation is out in Gainesville, when you moved off of Dan Mullen, because if you didn't like the results of the recruiting side of things, you eventually had to pivot towards the winning side of things, and the record being such a big time deal, it was clear that Billy was not going to get the job done. What I thought was really interesting is seeing how Billy made it a challenge to be able to fire him to begin with, because he bought himself time. He got a signature win last year over LSU, and he stockpiled that up by knocking Ole Miss out of the college football playoff and then beating Florida State. And so those were things to where the buy-in from the team allowed him to build himself enough rapport to get another recruiting class in there, bring in better players, and have an opportunity to right the ship. Ultimately, what I think failed him was the inability to hire an offense coordinator. He said that he wanted to call the plays, and how askew and mundane and overall underwhelming the offensive personnel was at times led to the demise to where you had to go ahead and pay the buyout of $21 million, which, again, is a lot of money, but it's Florida and you deserve better and you want better results than what you currently have. I don't think Billy is a bad coach. I will die on this take and say that Billy is probably going to get another shot to be a head coach in college football. It will come at the G5 level, and I think that he will do wonders there. The fact that he was able to get buy-in from players, flip names every single chance that he had the opportunity to in recruiting, back-to-back top 10 recruiting classes, shows you that from a right and wrong advantage standpoint of the things that you want behind closed doors, Billy is very good at. But it just felt like this was a kid who decided to cram for the test hours before, sat on down, looked at the paper, and realized, I forgot everything. Because that was game day. Poor execution, bad overall adjustments, never really making necessary offensive personnel moves on the fly. The careless penalties that always seem to occur on special teams and things that would push you back, and the inability to really build a rapport in the offensive personnel, an area of your strength, was where you realize things need to change. And ultimately, you're Florida. Like, you're supposed to be a team that considers itself one of the premier schools in the SEC. And the crazy part is we're looking at the new age of the SEC. And Tennessee is now back almost to full vicinity. And Missouri has turned the corner and put itself in a position where 10-win seasons are coming on the regular. And Ole Miss has transformed into a team that legitimately can compete for college football playoff bids. And LSU has money to spend like crazy. And South Carolina every few years has made the necessary adjustments. And Vanderbilt is now a team that actually can be competitive. And you talk about what you added in with Oklahoma, and you talk about with Texas. And knowing all these things, to be a team that is still in the forefront ground of one of the legit threats and pioneers of the conference, you had to make a switch. And you can go ahead and hold out hope that eventually, all these recruits are going to pan on out. And we're still going to land great transfer portal players. But if they don't blossom into household names, you're wasting their time and their skill set. And that's ultimately, I think, that where Scott Strickland had to realize whether or not we won this football game, we have to make a switch. With how many names are currently being open, it feels like if you didn't do your due diligence to bring in a rising star, it was probably malpractice on your end. There's a lot of coaching staffs out there that are going to be better because if they made the move to let go of the current regime. You have to be able to get that guy. The question is, who is going to be that guy? And the crazy part is, in today's day and age, it really isn't about the history of the football program. It really isn't the history about the aura of the job. It's about how much money are your boosters willing to spend in NIL and resources to put yourself in a prime position to be able to strike. Indiana was not a football school before Kirk Cignetti got there. They are a damn football school at this point because if they said $11.6 million is more than enough to make sure that we do not lose our coach. You have to spend money if you want to be able to keep a name around.
Yeah, a lot of questions from you guys as expected. So the buyout is indeed $21 million. I was listening, Bear, earlier today to a good friend of mine, Dan Thompson, Stadium and Gale. He and Corey do a phenomenal job on their show, and Dan is, call it for what it is, pretty connected within the Florida program, knows a lot of people. So I was listening to him earlier today. He was shedding some light on this. So people asking about the transfers, I thought was interesting. Guys, you might recall the rule just changed like a week ago. There's only one portal window now. So I think it's players can transfer within 15 or 30 days when a new coach is hired, which who knows when that will be for Florida. I mean, you'd imagine sooner rather than later, but it's definitely going to be post-regular season, I'd have to imagine, unless something changes. So I don't think you really have to worry about the talent leaving necessarily at this moment. You will at some point when that new coach gets in there, but also you're going to have that new coach probably bringing players over from their previous stop or guys they have connections with or whatever. What I found interesting, Bear, because now the conversation will turn into, and you've got a great video dropping early in the morning, hot board for the Florida job, top candidates. There's a couple obviously out there, guys, that, I mean, y'all probably know who we're going to be discussing, but the names I've been told to get very familiar with. Number one, obviously, Florida is going to sell out to get Lane Kiffin. That is their guy. When I was in Gainesville a few weeks ago, they told me that. I was told Steve Spurrier wants Lane Kiffin, like the big people at Florida that make the decisions, that have the influence. They have rallied behind this idea of, hey, Lane, come to Florida. And Bear, from what I'm being told or what Dan actually said on his show today, you can expect the number to be something around a 7-year contract, $95 to $100 million. They are ready to make a handsome offer, an offer that Lane Kiffin cannot say no to. We're talking 13, 14, maybe $15 million a year to get him down to Gainesville. Now, that'll be a decision Lane Kiffin has to make, and we'll see. I'm sure we're going to have endless reports over the next couple of weeks, over the next month plus, whatever, about his interest level, what have you. If they do not get Lane Kiffin, that will be something that's really interesting from where they go. Dan mentioned today, Eli Drinkwitz is a name to get really familiar with. Brent Key is a name to get familiar with. Beyond that, maybe a Marcus Freeman maybe feels more like a long shot than anything.
Well, you have to make the phone call. You'll make the phone call.
Yeah, but it really is. They are going to be do or die on Lane Kiffin. I don't know how excited the fan base would be for a Brent Key, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, Corey even mentioned in their show today that one doesn't inspire me a whole lot. They are going big game hunting for this next head coach. But, and again, I know you talked about it a lot. I'm going to do a segment of content this week on it too. And I already posted something on social media, the top 5 guys I would target. I don't expect Florida to go back the G5 route. I just think after the Billy Napier thing, they are not going to roll the dice on an experiment. Now, I guess if it came down to it and that was the best you could do, so be it. I don't think that's the best Florida can do. I think the Florida Gators can land one of the big names in the sport. Back to, though, Bear, because, again, you and I will have a lot of discussion after this on candidates and what have you. Hot board, if you will. Yeah, it was time. I mean, it was time to move off of Billy Napier. It's nothing personal. It's a results-oriented business. Billy Napier knows that. Scott Strickland knows that. I know that. You know that. The fan base knows that. And there is a standard at Florida, and they were not even remotely close to meeting that standard.
Nope.
The things, I think, when we look back at the Billy Napier era in Gainesville, the things that doomed him, lack of discipline and stubbornness in regards to the offensive coordinator position and the play calling. That's really what it came down to. Obviously, the statistics that you mentioned, Bear, not able to go on the road, beat a top 25 team. That's something that if you're going to take a step forward as a program, you have to be able to break through and do that. But I think those two things, I mean, really just define what Florida football was under Billy. I said it multiple times, and I even kind of was like, am I being a little too harsh? But I don't think I was. They were just a stupid football team under him. They were a very undisciplined team. They did some of the darndest things. They found ways to lose. They were abysmal on special teams, right? I mean, how many times do we see, guys with the same number or 13 guys on the field or whatever it was, just stupid self-inflicted wounds. And then obviously, again, offensively, DJ Lagway kind of bailed you out last year. He came in as the prodigal son. He gave you hope. People were clinging to this idea, hey, maybe this year Billy Napier will be able to, be able to get a spark here with DJ, and he takes a step forward. And it just didn't happen. DJ Lagway has regressed. The offense is not very good. And here we are. So I think you and I both realized and knew that win or lose against Mississippi State, which the game was ugly. Florida fans were not happy with the game.
No.
But win or lose, which they did win, that was going to be Billy Napier's last game as head coach. And I do think, Bear, again, the timing of it makes sense. I have no issues with it. I mean, the only thing you could say is that – and here's the thing. A lot of Florida folks I talked to, they wanted Billy Napier fired after last year. I think it would have been the right move. I just think you were put in a really tough spot, obviously, after the way you finished the season. He had a lot of leverage of why he should come back. So whatever, you bring him back. But that South Florida game after that, that's when I was like, this is just too far gone. There's no coming back from losing a game like that. And obviously, what's played out is what's played out. So, we'll see. The interim is Billy Gonzalez, who is the wide receivers coach. So maybe Florida, who knows, Bear, opens up the playbook a little bit, starts throwing it around, and guys are essentially probably auditioning for their next coaching gig. So there's a lot of motivation for those guys to finish the season strong. You'll go into the bye week and you kick off a stretch of Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. So while there will be focus on Florida trying to salvage something, it's the talk for the Gators is going to be all about the next head coach. And again, per them, Florida has, to nobody's surprise, they have got the target set on Lane Kiffin. So we'll see what Kiffin does. I think the ball is going to be in his court. I think it already is in his court. But, I think Florida's in a position, again, to make as strong an offer as they possibly could, like in the years past. Like they are in the best position they've been in to where they can really go out and land somebody. And we talk about this job, Bear, like who has succeeded at Florida? Brash, bold, cocky, arrogant, offensive-minded, visor-wearing, a.k.a. Steve Spurrier. They've been looking for somebody to fill those shoes since he left. Lane Kiffin's a perfect fit. I think Drink could be a fit.
Drink is a perfect fit.
He's a quirky dude, and I don't think everybody loves the way he operates. Again, winning is winning, though. He's won everywhere he's been. So that will speak volumes. But anyways, it's going to be interesting to follow, Bear, but without a doubt, this was the right decision. It was time to make a move.
Double D, I'll get to this comment later on when we talk about Texas. For me, there's two ways I can look at this. It's Lane Kiffin's shot to lose. Let's just go ahead and start the coaching search starts and ends with Lane Kiffin. If he wants it, he's going to get it, and you don't even have to go anywhere else. The thing is that you have to remember there's an opportunity for Lane to be able to build his own pathway out at Ole Miss. Ole Miss every single year can upgrade his contract and make him the highest paid person in the state of Mississippi because of the way that the state bylaws work. Is they will always allow him to only be on a 4-year contract, but they can up his next year to they can add more money to the year afterwards. So that's one thing that you have to play into factor. The other thing is you will always be known as another coach at a place like Florida because of what Steve Spurrier was able to accomplish and what Urban Meyer was able to accomplish. Now you can put yourself in the same category as them, but you can also build your own legacy at Ole Miss. If he continues to do what he's doing at Ole Miss, not only are they going to eventually make the college football playoff and compete for a national title, they'll build a statue of him outside of Mount Hemingway. And there's a part of him that is probably very content at what are the actual ramifications and expectations at Ole Miss. He's seen coaches not be able to meet the bar and come close to meeting the bar and still be fired at Florida. So that's going to be a really, really interesting conversation. But the thing that I will tell Florida is, you are freaking Florida. Start acting like it. Start actually realizing who you are as a program and remember what you have been able to accomplish over the last 50 years. That is why you go out and you tell people you need to be the next head coach of Florida, and you make them tell you no. You don't settle for the second or third or fourth guy on the list. What you do is you make sure that the first or second guy has no opportunity to turn you down, because a program built like you, a program that has all of the actual talent and the personnel and the people in the building and the resources, should be able to compete for national titles, should be able to compete for college football playoff appearances, should be able to be considered one of the best overall organizations in the sport. This is a top 12 job. You need a top 12 coach to be able to run the program out there. So you don't settle for the next G5 up-and-comer. You go get the already proven name and make sure that he is ready, locked in, and built for the position. And the thing that I have heard today, which I think is really important, I believe Florida is a proper head coach with this roster to being a legit threat in the SEC. Dallas Wilson is a stud and will find success anywhere in college football. Jaden Baugh is a one-of-one running back. He will find success anywhere in college football. They have some offensive linemen for the long term that are going to be really, really well situated. Vernell Brown is a very good wide receiver. DJ Lagway, I think, can hit his stride. They're all going to wait to see who is the next head coach, according to people that I spoke to, before they make a decision on their future. So you need to be able to land somebody that can tell these kids the names that you believe are the foundation of your program moving forward. You had the wrong leader at the helm. Put your faith in me. Watch as we turn this thing around in less than 12 months. And this time next year, they're talking about us being in the college football playoff. You have to sell to the names that are currently on the roster that are almost unaffordable to lose, that they're meant to be a part of Florida. And the only way to do that is by bringing in the right head coach. The other thing, and the final thing I will say, is that whoever takes on over for Scott Strickland, you got to let him run the program in his image. You got to go full in on who he is. Because if you cannot let him say, well, we have to have these certain addendums. Nope. Because the last addendums that you've had in place have not worked for you. So now this is his job. You let him do it how he wants to. And until there is reasons to doubt him, you go ahead and let him do what he needs to. Bottom line. That's the only way this is going to work. Because right now, Florida as a program is very enticing as a place. I don't know if it is an enticing job if you're told you have to meet certain addendums and do things our way for this to work. Nope, not really. I would immediately turn you down because I'm doing the thing I want to do at my school, and they're allowing me to coach the way that I need to coach.
Yeah, what you're referring to, Bears, red tape. I've been told that by guys that work in the industry. It's red tape. It's certain guardrails that some will put up. Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, I think you let the guy come in, you hire, be himself, be the leader you brought him in to be. You know, it's interesting if you know anything about Florida. A lot of you probably don't know, but Scott Strickland at one point was very public about the idea he would never employ Lane Kiffin. He would never work with Lane Kiffin. I think there has been so much pressure against him at this point that he doesn't have a choice. I think he has to cave. He has to cave to save any good face or goodwill with the Florida fan base because they want him going too. Also, Justin Bullock asks, is Florida a better job than Ole Miss? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's a better football job than Ole Miss. And the biggest thing, like, that is no knock against Ole Miss at all, but Florida has the one thing Ole Miss doesn't. They've got many things, actually, but they've got the most important thing, which is proof of concept. Yeah. You know you can win a national championship at Florida. I don't know that it can be done at Ole Miss, Bear. I really don't. I really don't. And, again, these are conversations you and I will have. I think we'll have a lot of fun debate about this Lane Kiffin thing. But, yes, I think it is a better job. It doesn't mean Lane's going to take the job because he's in a great spot. But it's a better job, in my opinion.
For me personally, Florida is a better job than Ole Miss. It is a top 12 job in college football. That doesn't mean it's the right job for Lane Kiffin. And the fit is going to be really important to land, not only for Florida, but for the next head coach that comes in there. That is really important to remember. Not every job is a perfect fit for every candidate. That's all I will say on that.
Yeah.
But Florida, from a standpoint of resources, money allocation, recruiting hotbed, it's top 12 job. Ole Miss is top 20 job.
No doubt. Guys, love to hear your thoughts. Billy Napier out at Florida. Who should the Gators target as their next head coach? And again, make sure you stay tuned. Hot board video from our guy Cole Thompson dropping in the morning. And we'll have tons of discussion, conversation amongst ourselves. We'll probably be talking to some Florida folks as well on the channel. Guys, definitely stay tuned to that. It's going to be a very, very interesting next few weeks as the Gators go big game hunting for the next head coach. All right, let's talk week 8, Bear. Everything that took place. We had 8 great games. Of course, we got to start with the game that I was at, Nashville, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, LSU. I saw somebody in the comments, by the way. Let's make one thing very clear. Vanderbilt was the favorite. There was no upset Saturday in Nashville. The team that was supposed to win won. The team that I said was the better football team won the game. By the way, on that note, again, not a big pat myself on the back guy, but this might have been like the greatest weekend of all time for your boy. Great weekend in Nashville. Make a ballsy call during the week. LSU fans are all over my ass all week long. They were all over my ass going in the game. Vandy does pretty much exactly what I thought they would do and said they would do. They didn't win by double digits, but they did, I thought, controlled the football game. They were the better team. Bang, hit the shot. 5-0 on gambling picks, and I'm pretty sure, Bear, unless I'm forgetting a game, pretty sure your boy went undefeated in our pick 'em as well. So
He lost one game.
What was the game?
Auburn.
Oh, you are right. Yeah,
lost
overtime.
Auburn.
Yeah.
That was
okay,
the
well,
only,
7-1.
only head-to-head against you. I won.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was 4-1 this week. Thank you, Alabama, for not allowing Tennessee to score. And then we both would have been 5-0 this week.
There you go. So, anyways, great weekend for you, boy. But again, starting with this game, Vandy LSU. First things first, I want to say is this. Vandy may not have the biggest fan base or the best facilities or, they may not be what some other SEC schools are. But I told a lot of people coming in this weekend, this was a really special weekend for me. I live in Nashville. The city has really embraced me. I've met some of the most incredible people that I've met in my entire life, from a networking standpoint, from a friendship standpoint. So this weekend was personal for me, along with the tour. And it went even better than I could have ever imagined. The doors are phenomenal. The amount of love and support that we get every time, we go to a Vandy game and hang out with Vandy fans. And again, while there may not be as many as some other fan bases, the few they have are mighty, and they are loyal as all hell. I mean, think about all the bad football they have sat through, and they are still showing up, and they are still going to games, and they are still supporting the doors, and nobody deserves what's happening on the field of play more than the Vanderbilt fan base. The true diehard, you know who you are, stick through them thick and thin, Commodores. Congratulations to you all. It was just an incredible weekend, man. I mean, like I said, it started on Thursday, heading out and playing Vandy Legends Club, the golf course. Appreciate the guys that got us on out there. Pristine track. We actually played there's a south and a north course here. We played the south course, which is the course that the Vandy team actually practices on. So that was a lot of fun. Had a little bit of fun on Thursday night. That night wasn't documented, but we did have a good time. Friday, kind of same thing. Went out and about. Of course, we had to take the vlog to Broadway for a little bit. We behaved for the most part, though. We're home by midnight, which, again, you'll see on the vlog. And Saturday, Bear, was the first time I've cracked a beer before 9 a.m. in quite a long time. But I did it because the game was an 11 a.m. kickoff. God bless it. God bless Central Time. God bless an 11 a.m. kick. And we made it happen. Shout out our friends at Outlaw Light for providing us more beer than even that entire tailgate could drink, about 6 or 7 cases or so, and then the game itself. And I know we'll get into the X's and O's and everything, and give LSU fans credit. They showed up, and I mean, it was 50-50. It was, and I think that's the challenge Clark's got right now. He has to build a fan base. Vandy doesn't have a big fan base. They have to legitimately build the fan base from scratch, but you keep winning games like you did yesterday. It's going to go a long way in getting people behind you, showing up. College game days now going there for the Mizzou game.
Yeah.
And then after, obviously, was able to go out and about, celebrate in the city, went down to Midtown, went down to Broadway to close the night because a certain Diego Pavia and his family were there, and the entire football team, some of the baseball team. I won't say any names outside of Diego. Obviously, I'm not trying to put everybody on blast that was out. But anyways, it was a good time. We were all celebrating and everything. And the game itself, Bear, short and sweet. I mean, Diego Pavia is a straight-up wizard. I mean, he is legitimately not of this planet. Some of the plays he makes, he's just a ball player. I mean, it reminds me of when I saw him in person last year when I came to the Texas game. It's just some of the things he does, man. He is just a ball player. I thought Tim Beck was in his bag all day long. I think Vandy did a great job of learning from that Alabama game. They stuck with the run, something they didn't do in Tuscaloosa. They were really creative in the run game. Obviously, Diego Pavia was a big part of that, but I thought Vanderbilt was the more physical football team. They bullied LSU, I thought, for the most part. They did the things Vandy does when they win games. They won time of possession. They took care of the football. Their quarterback made big plays. They didn't really shoot themselves in the foot there. They actually limited penalties in that game, which was something they had struggled with. Very smart, fundamentally sound team, tough as nails. That defense obviously making some huge plays late in the game in the fourth quarter when I think both teams kind of, I don't want to say tightened up, but felt the pressure of the magnitude of what was on the line. You kind of saw both, right? Flinching a little bit, but not a ton. But Vanderbilt defense made big plays. And again, guys, if you are still doubting, if you are still on the outside looking in saying, no way, this is Vandy, if that's where the convo ends for you, brother, you have got to wake up and realize what we are witnessing. This is a damn good Vanderbilt football team. This is a college football playoff contender, not a pretender. They're a contender through and through. It doesn't mean they're going to make it, but Vandy's as real as anybody else in the country. That's indicated by the top 10 ranking in the latest AP poll. Vandy's for real. Give all the credit to Clark Lee and company. This team is so much more than Diego Pavia. It's Eli Stowers. It's Spence, the other tight end. It's Junior Sherrill. It's the Richardson kid. It's Cedric Alexander. It's AJ Newberry. It's other guys that I'm even forgetting, right? It's a bunch
defensive
of dudes defensively.
Linebacker play, cornerback. I mean, it's everything.
Yeah, it's so many. It's so much more than Diego Pavia. He's the face of the franchise. Obviously, he's the spark plug, but man, it was just an awesome weekend. I mean, I had high hopes for this weekend. I was looking forward to it for weeks, obviously, just being in my home city. And, man, it was just incredible. So, and obviously the DORES getting the win, the way that went down. And I know we'll probably spend time talking about it, Bear, but on the flip side, and we've just announced it in case you missed it, the SEC Unfiltered Tour next weekend, ironically enough, we'll be in Baton Rouge, Louisiana to watch LSU and A&M do battle. And boy, I don't know what I'm walking into down there. Number one, I'm really glad Vanderbilt won from the standpoint of if LSU had won, I would have been catching relentless shit on the timeline and probably in person all throughout the week. But now it's all that anger, I think, and vitriol they would have had at me. They've all got it at Brian Kelly.
Yep.
The target is on him. And I think rightfully so. I mean, talk about BK, talk about Joe Sloan. That play calling in the fourth quarter was embarrassing. It was so uninspiring. I give Nussmeier a lot of credit. He made some crazy throws too under duress, under pressure. I definitely don't think he's healthy because he's throwing lollipops up, dude. There's not a lot of velocity on a lot of these footballs. You still can't run the football, obviously. Give Vandy credit, but you can't do it. It's not part of your repertoire. But, yeah, I mean, Vandy was just the better football team, and that's going to be a really tough pill to swallow for an LSU team that had these high hopes, aspirations. Technically everything's still in front of them, but now you got to go 7-0 to close out the season. Good luck with that with the way you've been playing. But the story should be the DORES, Bear, college football playoff contenders. Who knows? Maybe we got a college football playoff game in Nashville at First Bank. Who knows?
Maybe we have
what a day. What a day on the West End.
Playoff teams there. Who knows? Mizzou can lose this game and they find a way to go ahead and figure it out. Like we don't know. It's just possible. Here's what I will say. I said it on the live stream yesterday and the recap. The better football team won. The better prepared football team, the more aggressive football team, the team that wanted it more, the team that got after it more, the team that was more overall understanding of their assignments, the team that made fewer mistakes. And once again, you have to remind yourself of this. When Vanderbilt plays Vanderbilt football, it 99.9% of the time wins the game. What is Vanderbilt football? It is winning the time of possession. It is running it down your throat. It is connecting on the play action pass. It is getting Diego Pavia involved in the rushing attack. It is winning on third down execution. Vanderbilt won the time of possession 36-31 to 23-93. They had the fewer penalties, 4 for 35 versus 7 for 32. They outrushed LSU by 139 yards. They finished with over 399 yards of offense compared to 325. They were better on third down execution. They had 20 first downs compared to LSU's 14. They played Vanderbilt football to a T, and they left no doubt that this is a team that you have to prepare for. I am sick and tired of hearing from people around the world of college football. The big heads, not the people that are in the trenches like you and me, Chris Phillips, not the people who watch this show, but people who are on national television going, how is Vanderbilt still able to pull this off? Because Vanderbilt is a damn good team. You need to stop asking the question on how Vanderbilt's able to pull this off and ask the question on how do we contain Diego Pavia? Because he continuously is a wizard. He's a demon. He is a psycho man on bath salts and pure adrenaline that finds a way to evade the pressure, understand his position, and be able to make plays. How many times did you watch as Jack Pyburn was closing the gap and it was, okay, I'm going to tuck and run and I'm going to get a first down out of this? How many times did you watch him feel the pocket collapse and without seeing it, knew that if he did not get the ball out, he was going to be brought down? So he delivers a great shot across the middle of the field, and it's a first down gain. And it's another fresh set of downs. It's able to hit reset. There are just things that he is doing right now that is improbable of imagining, but he's making it look easy. And the crazy part is he was the front line of the season last year. He was the face of Vanderbilt football. But when you get a good leader, when you get somebody that's very easy to root for and rally behind, you embody them. You embody their vision. You embody their mantra. You embody their workout regimen. You embody their persona. And then you're all built on the same mentality that is almost impossible to beat when they're at full capacity. And that's Vanderbilt football right now. I told you that they were a playoff team 2 weeks ago. I had in the group chat people making fun of me saying, what, you really think that they're going to be in the playoff picture next week? Brother, they didn't lead the playoff picture from losing to Alabama. They didn't play Vandy football. They got to play Vandy football. They win. They play Vandy football against Missouri. They're going to win the football game. They're going to put themselves in a position where 10-2 is possible, where they could be very much in the hunt for a spot in Atlanta. They could very much guarantee their spot in terms of a college football playoff and in hosting a game at First Bank Stadium. It's all ahead of them because of who they are as a program. And yesterday, the thing that I thought was most impressive, you guys went on the field after the game. But you know what Vandy didn't do? They didn't storm the field right as soon as the clock struck 0. They waited and they understood, no. This is not our Super Bowl. Our Super Bowl is going to the playoff. Our Super Bowl is making a run to the SEC championship. Our Super Bowl is still a few more weeks away. We may have never been here before, but we sure as hell are going to act like it. That's a mature team. That's a team that has shown you that times have changed out in Nashville. Major credit to Barton Simmons for how he has been able to build this team behind closed doors. Major props to Clark Lee for believing in what is the vision of a team that he has wanted to see reach its full end goal. And major credit to the names that have joined the party and have embodied who Diego Pavia is. They're built different, and it's time for you to start respecting them. Now on to LSU. Chris, I'm not blaming Garrett Nussmeier for this game. I refuse to. I understand that he had a couple of bad throws, and I understand that he has far from been the expectation of what we envisioned at the start of the year. If you want to blame Garrett Nussmeier for this game, get the hell out and don't tell me right now you don't know college football. He had no time to throw. That offensive line was embarrassing. That offensive line was probably one of the worst 5 men I have seen out on a football field this entire season. And credit, the 2 touchdown passes came on bringing up plays and just like can't believe shots at the right time to trade Ez Green and Xavier Thomas. But my God, the inability to keep your quarterback upright against a team like Vanderbilt on paper that you should be better than is embarrassing. The play calling in the second half was beyond pitiful from Joe Sloan. The inability to get anything rolling defensively on third down execution was abysmal. The inability to finish drives defensively was pathetic. And the crazy part is I was ridiculed by many people, LSU fans, national people, people who said, you're a madman for thinking that this team could score 30 points on this defense. They scored 31. I should have been more bold about that stuff. It was legitimately asinine how ill-prepared, how unreliable, and how disgustingly mediocre the overall game plan was on either side. And that's a testament to your coach. Chris, they are not a well-coached football team. They're not. They're very ill-prepared for game days. They have no life when they get down. And it feels like they run through the motions when things don't go their way. I mean, there were so many opportunities to where you could have brought yourself back in. And it just felt like you kind of were faking it. I mean, the designs from the wide receivers, the complete transition of making plays, the inability to win your one-on-one battles and pass coverage downfield, your inability to really be able to win in pass protection. I mean, what were we watching yesterday? And again, this is a team that went out and spent money and said, we are going to be different this year. We are going to be a team that means business. And it's a yeah, but conversation. Yeah, but we have an offense and we have no defense. Yeah, we're really good when it comes to running the football, but we can't pass the football to save our life. Yeah, we finally have a defense, but our offense is cardboard crap. It's like it's every year. It's something new when it comes to Brian Kelly. And you and I know what the expectation is down at LSU. Ladies and gentlemen, the game against Texas A&M, it is a must-have for Brian Kelly. Because if you talk to some people down in Baton Rouge, a 4-loss season is a fireable offense. They don't care what he has done so far. They care about what he has done at this point. You do not lose 4 games making that amount of money with how much they spent in the offseason and live to tell the tale. LSU, it is put up or shut up time from here on out. You need signature wins. You need big wins, and you need your offense to figure things out. And if they don't, it ain't Joe Sloan just losing his job. It's a lot of other people who are going to be out of a job too. And by the way, Lane Kiffin may be able to turn down Florida. I don't think he could turn down LSU.
Yeah, LSU's in trouble, Bear. LSU's in trouble. Yeah, the offensive line was abysmal. I agree with you. I thought Nuss actually was the thing that gave them a chance to win, but they got bullied. I mean, they got bullied up front. Vandy rushes for 239. They only had 2 sacks, but they were living in Garrett Nussmeier's back pocket all day long. And, again, simply put, the better team won the football game. So, Vanderbilt now, college football playoff, I'd say, is in their sights.
Yep.
Talking to them, really good buddy of mine that works for Vandy football, which, by the way, was cool. We got some love from the staffers walking out of the stadium. That was really neat. Said, hey, keep rocking the doors. I was like, we got you. So shout out to Vandy football. Yeah, no, they're confident, man. It's a confident bunch. Again, what Clark Lee has done in such a short amount of time. And, oh, by the way, I wanted to mention this too. The stadium looks awesome. Again, you'll see it in the vlog. It is just so night and day different from the experience I had a season ago. That end zone is absolutely beautiful. Again, it's still not a 100,000-seat cathedral like the others, but good on Vandy for making the investment necessary to compete, and it's obviously paying off big dividends. So, again, huge win for Vanderbilt. LSU left searching for answers, and ironically enough, like I said, we'll be in Baton Rouge this weekend for a game against Texas A&M that, Bear, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's as must-have as must-have gets because they might be 5-2, but things are really, really toxic down there on the Bayou right now. So, yeah, could be a really interesting – it will be no matter what, a really interesting weekend. And then for Vandy, college game day coming to Nashville. There's a part – I'd be lying to you if I told you there wasn't a part of me that wishes I could do Nashville back-to-back, but duty calls, the tour calls, obviously, so we'll be on the road. So, anyways, big win for Vandy, 31-24 over LSU. Bear, let's go to the game that took place in Tuscaloosa. Alabama takes down Tennessee. Zabian Brown's pick 6, sparking what was a big win for the Crimson Tide. Final score in this game, in case you missed it, 37-20. Bama runs away with this one. Really a dominating performance. Joey Aguilar, that was his one big mistake in the football game, the pick 6. Ty Simpson continues to play at a high level, 19-29, 253, 2 touchdowns. Alabama ran for just 120 yards in this matchup. Jam Miller just 12 carries for 15 yards. But again, it was that defense making big plays, Bear. It was Ty Simpson's efficiency yet again. And Alabama is just on a roll, man. They're just at a different level right now. Yeah, it's really fun to watch. I felt good about Ty Simpson balling out in this game. Kid from Martin, Tennessee, was once committed to the Vols. Rough weekend for Tennessee fans, by the way. This game and the Tony Vitello news, which we'll see if it actually comes to fruition, but it was a rough 24 hours or so for our friends in Knoxville. But Alabama at home at night, Bear, doing what I think you and I both thought they would do, which is come away with the win. And by the way, the timing of this happening when we're on the show, I got to fix this fire alarm real quick. So, Bear, take it away with your comments. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
What I thought, and thank you for actually bringing that up, it's been driving me crazy, I'm not going to lie. What I thought was so interesting about Alabama in this game is they didn't have their best offensive performance, and it didn't really matter. That's kind of what you have to walk away with, is even in a day where your leading rusher was Jeremy Bernard, even in a day where your offense was outgained by Tennessee, you were worse on third down. They were 4 or 5 on fourth down conversions. You had fewer yards than them. You had you barely won the time of possession. You each had a bad turnover at the wrong time. You really relied on the explosive plays in different capacities to be able to win this game. And the thing that I thought was really interesting is that from an Alabama perspective, even when you didn't have your fastball, you never panicked. I mean, like, that was really what I thought was so impressive about Alabama in this game is offensively, they were able to move the ball just enough to get on by. You didn't have a good rushing attack for most of the evening, but it never felt like this was where Tennessee was going to find their way back in. It was more so just, no, you know what? We got it. Oh, we need to go ahead and get a big defensive stop here? No problem. Oh, our offense needs to be able to respond after a big Deshaun Bishop run? Okay, say less. We got you under control. And I never worried about Alabama, which is where that's when you know a team is very well put together. The Xavier Brown interception came at the right moment. I mean, to be able to get that pick as time expired at halftime really was the moment where everything switched all in favor of Alabama, and you knew. But
I wish I was in the building for that because that looked absolutely insane.
But at the same time, Chris, I mean, like the safety on Joey Aguilar with the intentional grounding was another moment that kind of allowed Alabama to get that momentum in their favor. I thought that Ty Simpson didn't have an elite day, but you know what I really appreciated? Once again, you get to see how deep Alabama's receiving core is. 8 receivers caught a football in this game. Isaiah Horton caught a 2-yard touchdown pass, and he did nothing else the rest of the day. Rico Scott got involved. Latsier Brooks got involved. Josh Sevis got involved. You had vintage Ryan Williams out there making big-time plays. Jeremy Bernard was really impressive. And some other guys were willing to step on up and add some value. It was enough to get the job done offensively, and yet still you covered by 17 points. So, like, from an Alabama perspective, they have to be the most impressive resume in college football. I don't know if they're the most complete team yet. I think that we're building towards it because, again, you look at you look at Ohio State, they're basically winning games single-handedly with one arm tied behind their back, and they're making it with a yawn. Indiana has been very impressive by being able to put up as many points as they have. But Alabama has 4 consecutive weeks of ranked wins, including 2 wins on the road, and they haven't had a bye in between that. That has to show you something about where they are as a program and the direction that they continue to go. They feel like the most complete team in the SEC, and it's very hard to argue. If you want to put them as the most complete team in college football, I won't push back. Because, again, they showed you once again last night, they don't need to run the football. They'll still win by double digits. They won't have an elite day passing. They'll still win by double digits. And defensively, this was the version of the secondary that I fully expected to see in 2025. Even though they gave up over 400 yards of offense, they only gave up 20 points. That's pretty impressive.
Barrett will be reflected when they drop tomorrow, my power rankings, but Alabama's the best team in the conference right now.
I would say so.
Right now, without a doubt. By the way, another good sign for yours truly, our friends over at FanDuel, latest Heisman Trophy odds. Ty Simpson is now the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy at plus 320. May I remind you, I got Ty Simpson at plus 1,800 before the season started. So I only wish I'd have thrown down a little more the way he's playing. But yeah, again, Bear, like you said, I mean, it was a game that it never really felt like Bama was in serious jeopardy of losing. They controlled that one. It felt like pretty much start to finish. And if you're going to go on the road at night in a hostile environment against a team that the caliber of Bama, you have to play essentially, if not a perfect game, pretty close to it. And so some of the blunders that Tennessee had, obviously, pick six, like you said, the intentional grounding in the end zone, those are just mistakes you're not going to be able to withstand and, be able to live to tell the tale. So I think it says more about Alabama than, say, like Tennessee not being for real or not being a good team. I just think Bama's just on a different level right now, man. Just top to bottom. I don't know what it was about week one that sparked them, that woke them up or what have you. Because, look at Bama and Florida State have gone completely different directions since week one.
They had a Freaky Friday, completely. They really did.
But it clicked. It clicked for the Crimson Tide. Something woke them up. And like you said, I believe they're the fourth team in SEC history, or maybe sixth team to beat 4 ranked opponents in a row.
16.
Yeah, 16. Yeah, it's very rare company. So they will not have a chance to extend that streak, I don't believe. I guess unless it's I don't know if the streak is consecutive or just when they've played overall, these ranked opponents. Yeah. Overall, okay. Because I was going to say, obviously, at South Carolina, that is not going
LSU still has to win. That's the problem.
Right.
For them to be able to continue the streak. And Oklahoma still has to win. So
yeah, for sure. Anyways, this Bama team's rolling. So wasn't surprised by the result at all. 37-20 final. Ty Simpson electric, and Tennessee not able to overcome some of their mistakes.
Before we move on, just real fast, Tennessee, I'm not selling my stock on you entirely. You didn't play an A+ performance offensively, but I don't think I didn't learn anything about you that I didn't already know. You still had 2 running backs average 8.6 yards a play. Deshaun Bishop had 123 rushing yards. He had 2 touchdowns. He had 2 explosive runs of over 20+ yards downfield. You still found the way to win through the air and get 3 receivers averaging over 9 yards catch. You still made plays. It's just Bama's on a roll that you can't slow them down unless you're perfect, and you weren't. But there still is an opportunity for you to go 10-2 with your schedule. There still is an opportunity for you to make the college football playoff. And you got to remind yourself that Joey Aguilar was a quarterback that you knew coming in could be turnover prone. He had a very bad costly turnover. He had a very bad intentional grounding. It's not the end all be all. There's things you got to work on. But right now, when you look at where you are, 2 losses are against teams that could be playing in Atlanta for the SEC championship. If you win on out, it's a pretty good resume to say, hey, we're a 2-loss team. Here's who we lost to. It's not the end all. You got to fix a couple things offensively. But I'm not ready to say things have gone south in Knoxville. And again, it was a performance where if you were not elite, you weren't winning the football game.
Bama smoking the cigar is probably still in the Sunday night, celebrating the 3rd Saturday in October win. Bear, let's go to the game. Took place in Athens, Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs beat Ole Miss by a final score of 43-35. And man, what a game this was. Back and forth. Georgia having to dig themselves out of a hole. I thought for about 80%, 90% of that game, Bear, I thought you were one of the smartest men on planet Earth and called the upset, but Georgia would not be denied. Between the hedges, Trinidad Chambliss throws for 263 yards. He rushes for 42 more. He accounts for 3 total touchdowns. It did not matter because Georgia and Gunner freaking Stockton, 26-31, 289, 4 touchdowns on the day for him. Bear, Georgia runs for 221 yards in the game, taking advantage of a pretty, I say soft or pretty susceptible Ole Miss defense to the run. But, Bear, this game was just a thriller. Bottom line, this game was a thriller. Ole Miss led for so much of it, but Georgia rallies, comes back from behind, shows their guts, shows their tenacity. It was 35-26 at the start of the fourth quarter, I should say. 35-26 start of the fourth quarter, and Georgia still finds a way to win the ball game. Bear, massive dub for Kirby Smart and the boys.
The first 11 drives all ended in points. If you want to talk about how weird of a game this was, we've talked so much about how bad Georgia is defensively coming out of the gate. And you know what the recipe is to be able to guarantee that doesn't matter? Have an offense that's able to respond every single drive. They had the ball 8 times. They scored on all 8 drives. I mean, that's beyond impressive in itself. And you know what? There's a lot of like Bobo haters out there tonight. You got to let the man cook, and you got to let the man understand he gets to talk mad smack today because he put up over 500 yards of offense against Lane Kiffin. Every single time the offense needed to respond to what Trinidad Chambliss was doing, they were able to deliver. There were two moments that I realized I was going to end up losing this. I was going to be wrong. I was not going to be able to see myself get the victory lap, and I was going to have to eat crow. The first one was they finally got a punt. You got to realize when you play against Georgia, if you do not go for the knockout punch, they will find a way to win. It's just the way that Georgia plays football this year. And it's the way that they're going to play, I think, for the end of the season. If you do not knock them out, they will knock you out because they don't hear no bell. When they don't hear no bell, they're going to go until the end. And that's what we saw. So the fact they punted, you got really nervous. The other part was the Josh McCray run on fourth down. That was such a big-time moment in the game because if you could feel if they get that stop at midfield, Ole Miss's offense with one punt, it's not that bad. But if you don't get the stop, watch as the crowd is able to change the game. And McCray nearly goes down. He is brought down on initial contact, and he keeps his balance, pushes with his arm forward, and gets to the line just enough to get on over. And you feel inside of Sanford Stadium, the atmosphere changed to, we got this now. We got this locked up. And Lane Kiffin and the offense, it started to go south. They couldn't get a stop to save their life. The ability for second chance opportunities after contact, 189 of those rushing yards came after contact. So poor tackling at times, the ability to trust Chauncey Bowens, the ability to trust Nate Frazier, which happened with McCray, the rushing attack of having a guy in Gunnar Stockton get that big 22-yard run and scoop and scamper was phenomenal. You just felt like the Georgia was playing out of its not only mind, but just more consistency of an identity. And this is where, again, you got to go ahead and realize, hey, there's a reason I'm not a college football coach. Because so many people were like, Gunnar Stockton ain't the dude. Gunnar Stockton ain't going to be the guy that takes us to the promised land. Gunnar Stockton had 5 incompletions and 5 total touchdowns. Like, psycho level shit is what we're talking about with him yesterday. And he needed that signature moment, and he got it against a team that last year embarrassed them in their backyard. And so, credit where credit's due to that side. The thing that was really frustrating was you realize from a standpoint of Ole Miss, they got out to such a fast start, and they couldn't put them away. There finally was the moment that Trinidad Chambliss was human. The last 2 drives, you started to realize they didn't get a sack on the game, but they put pressure on Trinidad Chambliss, and throws were rushed, and they were ill-advised time passes, and there were 2 really bad drops by Harrison Wallace that really also kind of dictated the outcome of the game. And when you throw that all in, it just ended up showing you why Kirby Smart is who he is. And while there is a good ceiling and an identity for Lane Kiffin out there, there's a reason why it's almost impossible for you to be able to beat Georgia in its backyard if you don't get that signature moment. And so you got to give credit where credit's due to what Georgia is. They're a phenomenal team. They once again were able to get a signature performance. Offensively, they delivered. The reality, though, that I think that we come away with is that their offense is going to be the key of them being able to win a national championship. Because defensively, this is who they are as a team. They struggle with being able to stop the pass. They allow far too many explosive plays. This is now the 3rd straight time where the wide receiver core of a team was able to beat you, at least put you in a position where they were excellent inside the red zone. But again, the ability to stop the run. I mean, if you really want to tell me what a stat line is, a quarterback being able to create opportunities with his legs and the ability to have a running game really was the difference between Georgia's offense and Ole Miss's offense. One team was able to run the football. They won the football game.
Yeah, it's odd watching Georgia play defense the way they are. But like you said, they're still finding ways to win. That offense, yeah, Mike Bobo catches way too much flack from the Georgia fan base. I mean, I felt it when I was down there, obviously, and that was in a loss too. So it was amplified leaving the stadium and throughout the weekend. But Mike Bobo knows a thing or two about calling ball plays. He can get pretty deep in his bag as well. I was going to say Lane Kiffin, I thought, was in his bag, especially early in that game and all throughout. man, it's just tough to go between the hedges and beat the dogs. It is. And I know a lot of Gator fans were really excited to see Ole Miss lose that football game and maybe muddy the waters up a little bit with Lane and Ole Miss and his status there. But again, you just got to give credit, man. I guess if this is how Georgia's got to win games, can they make it to Atlanta like this? I think so, but you're going to need your defense to step up at some point. Like, I don't think you're probably going to beat Alabama playing defense like this.
They're going to have to win a game because of their defense.
Yeah, I mean, your offense is just going to have an off day, or you're going to run into a really good defense, and you're going to have to be able to go mano a mano with them. So,
yep.
But either way, huge win. Lane Kiffin has won the big game before, but we have seen him on this side of these kind of games so many times. So just coming up short. But again, Georgia credit, it is just really difficult to go into Athens, win a football game. It was why I picked Georgia, and the Dogs do indeed prevail, get the win 43-35. Bear, let's go to next. Let's go to the game that took place. How about the game that took place down in Fayetteville?
Yes.
A&M in Arkansas. Boy, this one was wacky.
What a game.
This one was wacky. 45-42. We had weather delays. We had tons of offense. A little bit of everything, Bear. A little bit of everything. I mean, both Taylen Green and Marcel Reed were fantastic. Both guys actually threw exactly 32 passes each in this game. Marcel Reed for 280, 3 touchdowns. Taylen Green, 256 and 3 touchdowns. So both guys were electric. Arkansas Bear runs for 268 yards. Taylen Green with 2 rushing touchdowns, 12 for 85 on the ground for him. Mike Washington goes off. But it's Texas A&M, Bear. At the end of the day, they rush for 217, by the way, themselves. It is Texas A&M at the end of the day that finds a way to escape Fayetteville. And Bear, was this not the most A&M Arkansas game thing to happen? Like this is how these games go. They're close. They're down to the wire, and it's A&M that makes the winning plays in crunch time in this ball game, not Arkansas, which I know has got to drive Hog fans absolutely bananas. But death taxes and Texas A&M beating Arkansas in football, I suppose.
I mean, here's the bottom line. Like, people were wondering, why are you not giving more flack to A&M for the game against Arkansas? Because it's the way that this game always goes. The Southwest Classic was always this way down in Arlington. The only tradition that we're going to see change is they're not playing at Jerry World anymore. They're just playing at home. There were over 1,000 yards of offense in this game. There were nearly 90 total points scored. There were over 50 first downs. Combined, the two teams were 9 of 21 on third down efficiencies. There were 18 penalties in this matchup. There were over 500 rushing yards. There were over 575 passing yards. I mean, this was just one of those games where, again, you see Arkansas try to fight its way back. They're down by 10. They make it within 3. Again, it was a fun game. It just was. You got to give credit to Marcel Reed. This, to me, was the game to where I look at him as having the performance where you are now fully able to say, again, no question about him. I don't. I know how talented he is as a player. He had 4 touchdowns on the day, including the big rushing score. When there was a moment where Texas A&M allowed Arkansas to come back in, and it was 38-35, 38-27. I mean, my bad. Yeah, 38-35. They forced their way back in to make it 45-35. Again, this was a very solid overall executed performance from the quarterback. The ability to run the football efficiently was great. I don't worry about Texas A&M at all in this matchup. Again, it's just the way that these two teams go. The thing that I was really impressed with was the poise and consistency of what we saw from the quarterback and what we saw from the passing attack. That was phenomenal. And again, we're talking about a bad 50-yard penalty called against Texas A&M that maybe shouldn't have counted from this game being blown out the wazoo. And once again, Reed putting his team on his back and having 5 touchdowns. You got to like the fight of what you saw from Arkansas. Yeah, they were maybe what you want to consider garbage time touchdowns, but when you have 5 touchdowns in the day and 0 turnovers, it's a very solid outing. They were able to consistently be able to win. Omega Blake had a good day. Really, he was the only weapon that was able to create absolute consistency. When they got inside the red zone, Rohan Jones, CJ Brown, Jaden Platt, all made plays. But besides that, I mean, this really wasn't that big of a performance to where Arkansas kind of didn't bend the knee at any point. They made it to where it was a little bit too close for comfort, but that to me doesn't mean at all that A&M wasn't in control. They have a game to where, again, we don't give enough credit to Taylen Green. Taylen Green has been one of just the most underrated and underappreciated quarterbacks in college football, and he made plays against this Texas A&M secondary. But A&M won the football game. And again, like, people are asking me, do you have any doubts on Texas A&M? No, not really, because you want to know what? It was a game that I expected Texas A&M to where it was close, but it honestly also probably wasn't as close. Like, if any other quarterback besides Taylen Green was playing out there, A&M probably wins by 20. But that's kind of the beauty of what you have with a quarterback like him. And what's frustrating if you're an Arkansas fan, because of it feels like you wasted his time when he was with the program, when he could have been with many other schools and probably led them to a college football playoff appearance. I mean, that's just kind of the bottom line. A&M defensively has got some things they got to clean on up. But I can tell you what, this was one of those games that kind of got you battle tested on trusting your offense to be able to win and counteract anything that you saw against you. But also, again, this is one of those moments where you go ahead and talk about this game as A&M did a good job of being able to build a lead. They gave up a few points, but I never thought they were in jeopardy of losing this game. Like, it was a classic because of what the score says. But when watching it, it felt like A&M was in control most of the day.
And by the way, Bear, I do want to point this out. If somebody in the comments is correct, Arkansas scores with 10 seconds left. CJ
Yeah,
Brown
they got the backdoor
Taylen
covered.
Green.
We were smart because of it.
That's what I was about to say. Shout out to Taylen Green and CJ Brown for making us look like geniuses. Plus 7.5. Never a doubt, baby. Never a doubt. Plus the 7.5. Bottom line is this: Texas A&M gets the win. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Bear. It's just one of those wacky games. These two teams get together. The games go this way, and A&M win 13 of the last 14 meetings now. Texas A&M has beat Arkansas. I mean, absolutely a crazy run when you think about it. But Mike Elko and company finding a way to go into Fayetteville on a weird day. This was the drunk game. It was the drunk game of the weekend, no doubt. It was the drunk game on Saturday.
Here's what I will say about this game. The score will lie to you. The stats will lie to you. A&M made this game its own element. And unfortunately, there were just a couple of plays to where it looks a lot closer than what it felt. Credit to A&M's defense as well. You got to remember that Arkansas, they got 0 sacks and they got 0 tackles for losses. A&M had 4 sacks and 8 tackles for loss. Really good overall performance. I mean, I can't really complain. Again, you have a quarterback built like Taylen Green. I feel just bad for him. Like honestly, he played one of the best games of his life, and it comes in a loss. I mean, this is again why he's the drunk 2 a.m. cigarette, Chris. I can't quit him. I want to, but I can't. I'm sad. I'm so sad he's not on a team that's competing for a college football playoff berth because, God, he's awesome.
It's like, imagine what Lane Kiffin would do with Taylen Green.
I don't want to think about that, man. I don't want to think about you know
See
what?
if we can get Taylen some more eligibility and bring him back next year for
thank
transfer.
God he's not with Hugh Freeze. That's all I will say. Just thank God he's not with that team. Because I want to go there next.
Yeah, very good point. Again, speaking of that, Bear, we will go there next. The Missouri Tigers walk into the Plains down in Auburn. They take down the Auburn Tigers 23-17 into overtimes. And Bear, we're going to talk about the game, but things are getting very, very, very uncomfortable for one Hugh Freeze, as the Auburn Tigers are now sitting at 3-4 after the loss, and it's MIZ finding a way to get the dub. Bo Prabula with a big touchdown run. I believe that was late in the ball game. He throws 2 picks. Didn't have a great day through the air, but Mizzou rushes for 91 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns specifically. You look at the Auburn side, Jackson Arnold, 18-30, 207 yards, an interception. And Auburn rushes 41 times for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. We were out and about watching this game, Bear. Really fun game, exhilarating. And like I said, Hugh Freeze is in trouble. Hugh Freeze is in really, really serious trouble. They now sit at 3-4. College football playoff hopes are gone 100%. And they've still got challenging games. I mean, this week at Arkansas is no gimme. We just saw Kentucky take Texas to overtime, so who knows? We know what Vanderbilt is, and then you close out the season with Alabama. So very well, it could be 7-5, maybe even 6-6 potentially incoming for Auburn. I don't think that'll be enough for Hugh Freeze to return next season. Bear, just thoughts on this game. Mizzou finds a way to get a win.
Let's just talk about Mizzou in this standpoint. I picked the reason I picked Mizzou to win, and it came in double overtime, was because I trust the coach. I mean, most teams would not be able to turn the corner and put themselves in a position where even when you're trailing, and you're trailing by a touchdown on the road at Jordan-Hare, you'll do enough to deliver. I mean, it was not a good game plan at all by Missouri. 2 horrendous picks by Bobo. But the difference was his legs, and the difference was having Ahmad Hardy do just enough to be able to get you by the skin of your teeth. I mean, think about these numbers, Chris. Who do you think was better on? Who do you think had more first downs? Missouri. But who do you think had more penalties? Missouri. Who do you think had more rushing yards? The number 5 rushing offense in the country, or a team that right now doesn't know if they have a secondary running back besides Jeremiah Cobb? I'll save you the trouble. It was Auburn. Who had more passing yards in this game? Missouri, but barely. Who had more total yards in this game? Auburn. It just came back down to, once again, having enough of an offense to be able to put you in a position that you capitalized on the mistakes made by Auburn's offense, and you got it in. I mean, for the standpoint of, for Auburn gave up 17 points in regulation and lost a football game. They held a running back that up to the last 2 weeks had the most rushing yards in the SEC and the second most rushing yards after contact in the SEC to 54 yards. They gave up 2 rushing touchdowns in the game and a field goal, and it wasn't enough to win. And the funny thing is, I've heard that story all year from this team. Hugh Freeze is out of excuses. It just comes down to, at this point, how much longer are we going to hold out hope that things are going to be changing? And I'll get to Auburn in a minute because I need to grab my laptop charger, so I'll let you go. The thing that I can appreciate is, even with a very much D+ performance, Mizzou has enough talent to get the job done. Mizzou has enough on its axis to be able to put together 1 or 2 drives, even in overtime, that just get the job locked in place. And that may not be good enough to beat a team like Vanderbilt, and it certainly may not be good enough to beat a team like Texas A&M, and it certainly might not be good enough to beat a team like Oklahoma when you face off against them, especially on the road. But the bottom line is that right now, you will take every win possible to keep your season alive and hope that you can be a college football playoff threat. And there's enough to like about where this offense is. There's enough to like about where this defense is to be able to put themselves in prime position to make plays. As for Auburn, let me get my laptop charger. I will let you go because I have to vent. I'm at a point of where this is going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, again, big win for Mizzou. I mean, clutch. I thought the defense was fantastic. You can obviously look at Auburn. Offensively, they have just been a nightmare throughout the entire season. Ahmad Hardy, I mean, he only gets held to 58 total rushing yards, but does punch in a couple times. I think the thing when it comes to Auburn is this. It is very, very clear what needs to go down. Auburn has lost 11 of their last 13 SEC games. Hugh Freeze is 5-15 in SEC play, and it goes even further than that. Hugh Freeze is the 3rd Auburn coach since 1948 to have a losing record at Jordan-Hare Stadium. He is 9-10 at Jordan-Hare since he took the job. And Auburn is 1-19. 1-19 in the last 20 matchups against ranked opponents. We're talking about Auburn. We're talking about the Auburn Tigers. Those are mind-blowing numbers that only reconfirm the idea that the Hugh Freeze experience should be over down on the Plains. It is time to move on. There are no more excuses. There are no more things to anyone else. There's no one else left to blame. It all falls on Hugh Freeze. Again, the numbers indicate that. 9-10 at Jordan-Hare, 1-19 in the last 20 against ranked opponents. What are we waiting on outside of I don't know. I don't know if the timing needs to line up better, wait till end of season, but yeah, it's Hugh Freeze is cooked. He's finished. He's done. And as for Missouri, college football playoff hopes still in full sight. SEC title hopes. Big one this weekend in Nashville. It's going to be a lot of fun. But, yeah, Bear, I know you and I agree. I mean, listen, we were both out on Hugh Freeze before the season even started. And it's unfortunately for Auburn folks, Bear, has it not played out exactly like we thought it would?
Yep. Okay. And this will probably be the clip that goes maybe viral for my career. I'm not even sure. All right, bottom line, here's the deal. I was disgusted at Hugh Freeze last night on the way that he demanded that it was time for Jackson Arnold to throw the effing ball on 4th down. Like, you did not just call on a 3rd and 8 a rushing play to try to set the pass. So for starters, automatically dumb play calling to begin with. And then afterwards, you have the audacity to question the morality and the standpoint and physicality of your team. Well, you know what's really funny about that, Hugh Freeze? It's year 3. That means it's your team. So they embody the vision of who you are as a head coach. So either you're not doing a good enough job to be able to recruit the right players, or you're not doing a good enough job to go through the practices to get them mentally prepared for the games to be able to pull things out, like when you're up against a team like Missouri, like when you're up against a team like Arkansas, like when you're up on a team like Oklahoma, because you don't be able to have the capacity to be able to do that. You're not able to recruit these players properly. You're not able to develop the talent properly. And yet still, you of all people are not taking accountability for your mistakes. These are your players that you went out and recruited. These are your players that you said we can win with at Auburn. These are your players that you thought that you could be able to build a legacy with at Auburn. And then spare me on the quarterback BS. Like, you're want to talk about how Jackson Arnold is such a big problem and that he has been such a fault. Dude, let me make something abundantly clear. Do you know how many quarterbacks were out in the transfer portal and you said, nope, we got to go with Jackson Arnold? That's my guy I'm going to hitch my wagon to. So the only person to blame is you weren't able to develop internally. You weren't able to develop the names that you thought were going to be household figures underneath your regime that fit your offense. And then you went out and you brought in 2 quarterbacks that were easily overrated to begin with, the Peyton Thorne and then Jackson Arnold. So spare me on the mentality of, oh, this team is not giving me its full fight. This team is not being able to show on up. You have a top 10 roster on paper. And so you know what? Here's where we go if we are John Cohen. We fire Hugh Freeze and we say, you know what? Damn the players. Damn it if we can't keep them. We'll do everything possible because you want to know what? We're Auburn. We have Yellowwood in our back pocket. We have the ability to go out and spend money like no one's business. So how about we go ahead and pay for the players that we know are irreplaceable and find a coach that they want to play for? Because you know what? It's very easy in today's day and age to buy a roster, put the right pieces in play, and then bring in a coach that can easily be able to rally the troops, come up with good X's and O's, and win football games. But enough is enough. You are wasting premier talent at a school that actually has hope to win. And it's never getting better. And the crazy part is he refuses to take the blame. It's his team. It's his image. It's his fault. And he refuses to grow up. So I'm sick and tired of hearing from Auburn fans, oh, you hate on us because you're an Alabama grad. No, I hate on you because of I know what is the reality of your program. I hate on you because of you constantly shoot yourself in the foot by making dumb, ill-advised hires and not bringing in the right names. You allowed a man to not make an offensive personnel hire when clearly the offense was predicated in 2013 and it hasn't grown. So spare me with your malarkey on our team not showing on up. You ran out of excuses. You ran out of time. And the only thing left is to pack your bags and to go somewhere else, like maybe a high school, because that clearly is where the offense will work. But it sure as hell ain't working in the plains of Auburn. And somebody needs to come on in to fix your mess. A mess that you already had and you made worse from the second that you touched down. I'm done. I'm sick and tired of watching.
Well said, Bear. I'm
sick and tired of watching a program like that waste talent. I'm sick and tired of it for the fans. I'm sick and tired of it for the boosters, because the only thing that you have to show is you wasting money that you could have used elsewhere. It's ridiculous. It is beyond pathetic.
I don't think I really need to add anything else to that. I think you hammered it home pretty well. So we'll leave it at that. Missouri, big win on the Plains. Auburn left picking up the pieces. By the way, before we go to our next game, do you want to shout out our friend Rick, 1999 super chat. Thank you, Rick. He says Giga Aggies beat the hell out of LSU. Yeah, it's gonna be fun on the timeline this week. Aggies, Tigers, all throughout the chat and everything as well. We're excited to chat with you guys all week long. Going to be a lot of fun picking that one as well. Bear, let's go to the game that took place in Columbia, South Carolina. Oklahoma goes in, really just smothers the Gamecocks 26-7 in a dominating win. John Napier, and obviously, again, this was Oklahoma responding to the Red River Shootout loss. They respond the right way. Napier goes 18-26, 150, a touchdown in the game. They do rush for 171 yards. Torrey Blaylock with a career high, I believe, individual game, 101 yards for him. A touchdown to his credit. Bear, Jade Knott doesn't even get a carry in this game. I guess we can just kind of say he's just a non-factor at this point.
Yep,
he is,
that's fair.
I think it's fair to call him that. Defensively, once again, Oklahoma was fantastic. I mean, Lenora Sellers, 17-25, a touchdown in the game, 124 yards passing. South Carolina, though, Bear, they rushed for just 54 yards in the game. And the game is the storyline, but also what happened after the game. And the Shane Beamer comments, which have made, really have made waves over the last 24 hours or so, Bear. And I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about when asked by Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central, one of the local beat reporters there, about is he considering making changes to his offensive play calling or OC, whatever. And Beamer very, very quickly cuts him off, catches an attitude, if you will. I made a change last week, Jack, referring to obviously the offensive line coach he fired. I made a change last week. Nope, next question. Nope, very dismissive. Then Jack is asking what gives you hope that the offense be better. And he's like, nope, next question. He's like, well, what gives me hope is the way we practice. I see the guys in practice. I see, the plays that are out there. He continues to go on and on and on. So there's an interesting dynamic here, Bear, because I know that Oklahoma fans, certainly they want us to talk about the game. Oklahoma's the better football team. South Carolina's just not a good football team this year. They're just not. They're flat out not. They're even worse than I thought they were going to be, and I didn't have the highest of expectations. But, Bear, now what you're starting to see here, which I think is interesting, Shane Beamer's starting to catch some heat. South Carolina fans are pissed. They are pissed off. I looked at the timeline this morning, just looking around, Gamecock Twitter. They're pissed. I mean, they're really, really upset with the product on the field. This was a team and a program that had college football playoff aspirations, and they have been nowhere remotely even close to that. Mike Shula somehow, some way continues to call the plays, continues to be the OC. Bear, they're averaging 17 points per game offensively during his tenure. I mean, it is just, they are so bad on offense. They can't run the ball. They've got a quarterback in Lenora Sellers that appears to have taken a step back under Mike Shula's leadership. Looks nothing like the guy we saw a season ago. So I do want to, Bear, I want to get your thoughts on the Shane Beamer thing. We can talk about the game first really quickly. I know I just went on a rant there, but this one feels pretty cut and dry, right? I mean, Oklahoma, again, dominating performance, responded from the Red River Shootout, lost the correct way, and, just beat a team they were better than, and give them a lot of credit, though, going into an environment like Williams-Brice Stadium, even if it's an early kickoff. And Bear, they emptied that stadium out by the start of the fourth quarter, if you saw. So dominating performance by the Sooners.
Okay. I fell for the bait. This is where I need to listen to you more, Chris Phillips, because I love my South Carolina fans. I do. There are people who have actually reached out to me and said, hey, we want to add to the collection with the helmets. We have 2 on the way, which I'm very thankful for, and I'll give a shout out at the very end. But I love my South Carolina faithful. The bottom line is that it's not been good. And you told me that after all the hype, it was going to be a very similar thing to what we saw in 2023. And you're right. It is. It's bad. It goes from bad to worse. Like, the offensive line is just disgustingly awful. It's been one of, if not the worst units in college football at the Power 4 level this year. The inability to run the football really outside of Lenore Sellers at an efficient level is just disgustingly awful. But also the inability to build a rapport in the wide receiver game whatsoever has once again been bad. Jaden Sellers was your leading receiver, and he only had 1 catch of over 15 yards downfield. Donovan Murph had 2 catches for 24 yards, and 18 of them came on 1 play. Nick Harbor was number 2 in receptions, known for his breakout speed. He didn't have a play over 12 yards downfield. So it was, from that standpoint, even when you look at the passing game and you're able to go ahead and get some plays kind of moving in your direction, it still is horrendous. And when that's the case, it comes back to play calling. And I said when they lost Dowell Loggins, they need to go outside the box to make a hire. Because when they went outside the box the last time, it ended up working out pretty well. And I thought that Rob Edsel, who's currently at Wake Forest, was going to be a good name. I thought if you really want to go with the more proven pro style route, maybe you could go after, not Freddie Kitchens. Who's the guy at, who was the guy that was Alabama's OC underneath Nick Saban for the last year? Tommy Reese. You could have gone in that capacity. You could have gone with maybe one of the names that was currently at the G5 level. Like, there were so many other ways you could have gone just to be able to get your offense moving. And it just went from bad to worse. And the reality is that as the head coach at a place where expectations maybe are bigger than what the reality of your actual goals are, the problem that you face is that when you decide to go ahead and hitch your wagon to a guy who is not probably made to be your coordinator, you go down with the ship in the process. And they're not going to wait long for you to be able to fix this thing. So this offseason is going to be detrimental to Shane Beamer. Number one, he's not leaving for the Virginia Tech job. I will put it out here on October 19th, 2025. We will not see Virginia Tech make the hire of Shane Beamer. He wants to build his own legacy and not follow in the footsteps of Frank. And maybe we'll come back to bite him, and maybe it won't. But he will be the head coach of South Carolina in 2026. You got to spend in the off season. You do. You have to, number one, you have to fire almost the entire offensive staff. Start off fresh, bring in a bunch of new names. Number two, you got to give Lenore Sellers as many weapons as possible. And you also have to guarantee that he is going to be back next season. So that's a big priority. You may have to go ahead and make some changes defensively. You're going to have to find a way to get enough equity when it comes to your boosters that you can bring in a revamped offensive line. You may have to let go of Sean Elliott. Like, you may have to just go ahead and entirely reset when it comes to status. Because if not, you will be a coach that's on the hottest seat next year. Because there's a lot of things that you can buy into. There's a lot of good graces that you can have if you're at South Carolina. Going 9-4, winning, going 8+ wins in your second season, showing that there is progress and potential, all things that you want to see. But at the end of the day, you can't have horrendous performances against an offense that put up 6 points against Texas. You can't lose to Vanderbilt by double digits in your own backyard. You can't have a worse offensive performance than most teams against Kentucky. Like you can't have that and just be able to survive on that alone. And you can't waste a talent like Lenore Sellers that comes into your building who has the opportunity to be a Heisman finalist. And it feels like a year was wasted underneath him. Again, you probably are going to go 5-7 at best this year. So you're not going to a bowl game. You guys are looking at 2026, and you would better make a changes if you want to survive. As for Oklahoma, it was a good get-right game offensively. I was completely wrong. I didn't think you were going to be able to get right when it comes to a place like Willie B. You suck the life out of the crowd. The ability to run the football was really promising, 4.3 yards. You finished with over 170 rushing yards. He took the game out of John Mateer's hands, 18-26 for 150. The big-time touchdown pass to Isaiah Satanga was really promising. Defensively, once again, you already brought this up. They got after Lenore Sellers, 6 sacks, 13 tackles for losses. They made the offense obsolete. Just little things like that just go a long way. The Ole Miss game is really interesting now. This week, you go take on a team that maybe is starting to unravel. There's rumors about the head coach maybe leaving for another job. This may be exactly what you need to get back in the hunt for a college football playoff bid. That's all I will say. So credit where credit's due. I was wrong on picking South Carolina in this game. What I took away more so was there are just so many things that you have got to change if you are South Carolina, if you want to be able to save your job with shaving 26.
I think the thing that concerns South Carolina fans too, Bear, is okay, go fire Mike Shula. What gives you confidence that Shane Beamer is going to go out and actually think a little outside of the box and get an OC that's worth a damn? I mean, that's the problem, is that his first OC, Marcus Satterfield, guy was in his wedding right there in his Rolodex. That hire turns out to be a dud. Dowell Loggins, again, previous relationships, comes over from an Arkansas, did a decent job at the end, obviously last year. But then Mike Shula, he has been defined by these lazy OC hires, so lazy, not willing to not willing to go outside of his contact list in his phone. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's just no getting outside of the box. I think that's where South Carolina fans are a little bit concerned. It's okay, so what? The fourth time's going to be a charm? I mean, what makes, or excuse me, the fourth time's going to be a charm? What makes the next guy? What makes you think it's going to be the right guy? What blows my mind, Bear, is how every year for South Carolina, it is the same old story. They're bad on the offensive line. They've got a bad offensive coordinator, and the offense isn't very good. That is South Carolina football forever and ever and ever. They haven't had a good offensive line since Steve Spurrier was there, Bear. I'm not joking you. It has literally been a storyline every single year. It's like a broken record. I want to say this because the Beamer comments postgame and the attitude that he took with the reporter asking the question. Bear, number one, this is not some hot take coming from me because a lot of Gamecock Nation's pissed off. A lot.
It's bad. It was bad.
If you go look, they did not appreciate his response to that question. And it's very easy to understand why. You're almost insulting the intelligence of the fan base and everyone who cares about the program. You're insulting the fan base when you respond in that way. You're almost trying to say that's a dumb question. What are you talking about? How dare you ask me that question? But Bear, it's peak Shane Beamer. Yep. If you've been following the Shane Beamer tenure in Columbia, South Carolina, that is who he is. That is who Shane Beamer is. It's not the first time he's gotten snarky and sassy and caught an attitude when media asking him a question. It's not the first time he has caught an attitude because someone questioned some of his decision making or questioned, something to do with his staff or what have you. I mean, Bear, for lack of a better way of putting it, I had a buddy that was there yesterday that told me that he was in that room, obviously, when that happened. Frank Beamer's in that room. His dad is in that room. Shane is a guy that grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's a Beamer. He was always going to be in this profession. He was always going to be a head coach. He comes off as an entitled, spoiled brat, for lack of a better way of putting it. That's how he acts. Now, he may not be that guy behind closed doors. I've heard great things about him. That's how he acts, though. I don't know why you're so comfortable with disrespecting the media guy. And I've talked about it a lot, Bear. We're independent. But I respect the hell out of what these guys do, your traditional journalists, what have you, the people that are in these post-game pressers.
Yeah, I've worked here for years, so I get it. I
don't know why you are so comfortable being that way. And I get it, you're frustrated because you lost, but brother, you deserve to be questioned. You're making millions of dollars to get it right. And it's not like you're kind of struggling. You are, to me, Bear, if things don't change soon, I think a lot of the South Carolina tenure with Shane Beamer Well, we kind of looked at like Billy Napier at Florida. They had more success at South Carolina, but it's like it's your own stubbornness that you cannot remove, right? Like there's other coaches across this league. What happened when Clark Lee decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a dose of humility. I can't do this all on my own. I got to go out and get a big-time OC. I got to go out and get a guy that thinks differently than I do, right? Thinks outside of the box a little bit. There's other examples across the league, too, where it's like they decided, you know what? Either I'm not going to call the plays or I need somebody to help. And, like, I got to put my pride to the side. It's like he can't do that. And, again, because it's not the first time I've seen it, the snarkiness, the attitude, the snapping at the media member, it's just very Bush League, man. Like it's very Bush League, and it doesn't mean Shane Bieber's a bad person or anything like that. Like that's not what I'm insinuating, but it is missing the mark. It is, especially when you are losing. Especially when you're losing. Now, the media asks some dumb questions every now and then.
Yeah.
But Bear, asking the head coach after a game like that, hey, is there anything you evaluate from an offensive play calling perspective that like maybe y'all are going to make a shift? Bear, that's not a crazy question. That's a valid question. That's the question everybody's got on their mind. And for you to respond that way, it just tells me you are a little too comfortable with disrespecting your fellow man that way, with disrespecting someone who I don't think was coming at you with malicious intent.
Not even a little bit.
You didn't like the question. So you in your entitled state, you as a, coming off just as a spoiled, petulant child, bro, like you snap in that way. Like that is not how you interact with people. I don't know why you're so comfortable doing that. So, and again, guess what, Bear? Guess what? Hey, damn what I say, but the fan base is pissed because you're shitting on them when you do that. You're pissing all over the fan base. You're essentially saying to the fan base, I don't need to answer this. You're too stupid to get it anyways. You don't know what you're talking about. That's what you're saying to the fan base. So we'll see how it works out. I mean, South Carolina's as loyal a fan base as any. I don't think he gets fired this year.
No.
I think all the fan base wants a change at OC. That's what they want more than anything. But it's coming to a point where it's like, Bear, how many OCs do you go through before you're like, hey, this guy is the root of the problem? How many times can you keep blaming the OC? And you've essentially thrown away a year that you were supposed to compete for a playoff, and you got this generational quarterback, and you didn't go. You've talked about it. You didn't go in the portal and get big time receivers because you said you had guys, and it's like everything you bet on and banked on has failed this season. It's all fallen short. So I don't know. They're a mess.
I won't be long-winded because we've been going for 90 minutes. We got 2 more games to break down. I was very disappointed in Shane. I was. And maybe this is me because of he's a guy that I very much appreciate who he is as a coach. But that was Bush League. The way that he handled the question, the way that he talked down to reporters. And that was ultimately what really pissed off some people down at College Station on Jimbo Fisher not being willing to make necessary changes. That became such a major issue where you weren't willing to make enough adjustments and it cost you your job. And I'm not ready to go to that point with Shane. But when you lose the fan base, you don't have anything left to stand on. You don't. It's the bread life of college football. And it just felt like a slap in the face to everybody there. I know more than you, when clearly you don't, because of the 2 of the 3 hires that you made, very, very bad. And the third one, enough at best, maybe. I want to ask you, do you think that South Carolina fans would love to see Shane Beamer go to Virginia Tech?
Would they love to see him leave? No.
Yeah.
No, I think most Carolina fans want Beamer to be a lifer. They want him to be what Frank Beamer was at Virginia Tech.
That's what I
ideally
think. My fear is that if you aren't willing to make changes, it's bad. You know what the big thing is that I'll say, Chris? I'm wanting on this. The reality is a guy like Eli Drinkwitz, who comes off very much with an attitude and is not afraid to stand on business and poke the bear, was humble enough to realize his offensive play design was dog shit. So he goes out and he hires Kirby Moore. And in 2 years, back-to-back 10-plus win seasons, back-to-back opportunities to finish in the top 15 AP poll. And once again, they'll have an opportunity to do that again. You got to make changes. You got to humble yourself and realize, if I want to be a long-term coach here and reach my goals, the first thing I got to look at is myself in the mirror. And if I'm not meeting the expectations, and if I'm doing something wrong, like hiring my buddies left and right, we got to go ahead and fix that. That's kind of the case. Oklahoma, good game. Very good game. Again, you got right. I was wrong. A lot of things to be impressed with moving forward. That game against Ole Miss, very, very intriguing. And it could end up being a college football playoff eliminator for one of these squads.
Yeah, I was about to say, Bear, amidst all this stuff, by the way, Oklahoma played and won a football game. So credit to the Sooners. Dominating performance. Like you said, get right is a great way to put it. Now they follow that up. Big one upcoming with Ole Miss coming to town. And for South Carolina, Bear, here come the Alabama Crimson Tide as 2 touchdown favorites. So
enjoy that.
You better find some of that Willie B magic and find it in a hurry if you're going to have a chance in that one. Bear, let's go to the game that took place in Lexington, Kentucky. 16-13, Texas winners in overtime. This one was nasty. Yeah, this ugly. Very, very ugly ball game. Arch Manning, 12 of 27, 132. No touchdowns, no picks. You only rushed it for 47 yards. Bear, you were, offensively was tough sledding. Cutter Boley, 258 passing yards for him. How about that? 31.
He had over 300 yards of offense.
Yeah, because he rushed for 45 yards, had a rushing touchdown. You rushed for 137 as a team. But Bear, Texas, which, to give credit, I saw somebody else talking about this today. Lexington is a weird place to play. I don't know what it is. It's not a foolproof type of method. Like, this doesn't always apply, but we've seen it happen at Georgia. We've seen it happen to others where they just go in there and the games are just hard-nosed, gritty, low-scoring, like just really hard-fought ball games. And that's what you saw here, Bear. But I guess at the end of the day, the bottom line is, in a game in which you only mustered up 179 total yards of offense, you still found a way. 8 first downs. You had 8 first downs.
It's the worst game I've ever seen in my entire life offensively from
Kentucky had 26 first downs to your 8, and you still found a way to win. So I think this is one, Bear. You win the game, you say, thank goodness, burn the tape. This is a burn the tape game for Texas. Burn the tape. Let's never think about it again. Let's be grateful we won, and let's move on to Mississippi State.
Do you remember what I said in the preview right before we made the predictions? Watch this end up being the 13-12 Kentucky-Georgia game of 2025. Like, just watch what happens. Chris, in every single category, Kentucky won. 26 first downs, 7 of 18 on third down conversions, 1 of 3 on third down, 395 to 179, 258 to 132, 137 to 47. They were the fewer penalized team. They had the football for 39 minutes. They lost in 2 categories. Number 1, sacks allowed, and number 2, turnovers. That was it. And that's all you needed to win the football game. My God. And by the way, to answer the question from D earlier, you have one of 2 options if you are Texas this offseason. Number 1, you let Arch Manning go and Steve Sarkisian calls the plays. Or number 2, Steve Sarkisian hires an offensive coordinator and let Arch stick around. But that's it. Because this offense is not getting better. Like, again, I knew this in my heart of hearts that somehow, some way, we were going to see Texas go back to being the version of Texas before Red River. Because Red River's weird. Red Rivers is one of those games where, again, sometimes the worst team comes out on top. Sometimes the team that has more faults, has more options, has more craziness, ends up being the one that pulls away and gets a signature moment. We've seen this before with Oklahoma. We've seen this before with Texas. Guess what? We saw Texas have a great game plan and then go right back to doing the BS that we saw against San Jose State, the same BS that we saw against Florida, the same BS that we saw against UTEP. So it's like every single time, it's just like Arch is constantly being the problem in this game. And he was the problem. He was awful. He couldn't hit anybody. And throws were rushed, and the offensive line was dreadful in pressure rate. It was pathetic. Connor Boley was the best quarterback on the field. He was. It's crazy to think that that's a possibility. So you have one of two options. Arch is staying and you're hiring a play caller, or you're getting rid of Arch and you're calling the plays. But something has to change. My God, it was disgustingly bad. Holy crap, it was bad. That was a disgusting game.
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
Texas is a loser. They're not a winner. The scoreboard says they're a winner, but they're losers. Like, how was the AP poll ranking them up after this? They didn't belong ranked last week.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this one, Bear. This is, I left the Red River Shootout feeling better about Texas. Obviously, I mean, they won the game, right? It's pretty hard not to feel better about them. But like you said, it was almost like a game like, hey, let's be careful to not draw conclusions from this game because, like you said, that game is just its own thing. It's weird. Texas came crashing back down to earth in this game. It's not like their offense was great in Red River either. It was just good enough. And their defense made plays, especially as we all know what happened. Yeah, I mean, Bear, I'm just trying to think here. I mean, at Mississippi State is losable. Vandy's losable. Georgia, hell, I mean, they're all losable. All these games.
Every game is losable.
Every one of them. Every one of them. And I was catching some flack from Texas folks last week about, because I picked Oklahoma to win Red River, and we were kind of going back and forth. And I said that to one of them, and they thought I was crazy. But, I mean, look at the performance we got on Saturday from Texas. Like, you play that kind of offense, you struggle to that degree. Yeah, it's going to be a long, long rest of the season. I feel pretty confident in saying you will not see Texas and Atlanta at the SEC title game. And Bear, this doesn't look like a Texas team to me that's going to navigate away to the college football playoff. I don't see it. You're not. There's just no way in my mind you're going undefeated the rest of the way. There's no way. Not with this offense.
You know what I can appreciate though? The response by Colin Simmons in the postgame. It was a very mature answer for somebody who understands that this is a team game. They still allowed over 300 yards of offense to Kentucky that had ranked in the bottom half of every single category. They still allowed Kentucky to convert 8 times on third down. They still allowed Kentucky to reach the end zone. And instead of throwing the offense under the bus, he constantly said how they made mistakes. They allowed Kentucky to be able to jump out to a lead. They allowed Kentucky to be able to put themselves in a position where they could score, and they did just enough to be able to get the job done. But still, it really, really was a performance that they do not want to look at. So I give a lot of credit to the standpoint of they realized that they probably should have pitched a shutout, and they should have never gone to overtime to begin with. But regardless, I mean, offensively, it's bad. I mean, you're talking about a team that allowed 13 points, and they're having to hold up their end of the bargain because of their offense couldn't do anything. I mean, like, I'm sorry, like it's disgusting, but at least they understand we win as a team, we lose as a team. It was our job to do better, and we couldn't get the job done. So I can appreciate that. Kentucky. Like I've already told you, your season's over. I mean, this was your opportunity to kind of get back right. I don't know.
Barry, you seeing the momentum building that apparently that the conversations have started about Mark Stoops and his future out there? And this is coming from, I saw some Kentucky account post this, that like this is coming from the message boards in Big Blue Nation. Like these are like legitimate,
it's been building.
credible sources posting this, that maybe the wheels are turning a little bit on moving off Mark Stoops.
Can we just say this? With how many jobs are going to be available this offseason, you have to remind yourself that there is a name that people have linked to you for a while. And he is going to be probably one of the first phone calls that John Cohen makes down at Auburn. If you want John Summerall, you may or may not be able to get him after the cycle. So you have to realize it may be worth paying the $38 million if in 2 years we're back to 9-3. We're back to 8-4. We're back to winning games against quality opponents. And like I said when it came to Florida, teams in the SEC that we have known to be 6-6, 7-5, 5-7, 4-8, turn the corner. Vanderbilt, South Carolina before this year, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri. They're all good now. Oklahoma's not going to go away. Arkansas, if they make the right hire, they're going to be back in the conversation. At some point, if you don't want to be known as the 3-9 bottom dweller in the conference, you have to make a change. So it's like, damned if you give up the money, damned if you don't.
No doubt. That's going to be interesting to follow. More on that in a second, Bear. We close it out here. I do want to talk about the changes for a sec. Last game, Bear, we can run through this one pretty quickly because, again, the big storyline is what happened after. But Florida did indeed beat Mississippi State. Final score 23-21. Mississippi State actually outgained Florida in this game, but DJ Lagway, 280 passing yards. He did have 2 interceptions in the football game. Jaden Ball with a big day, 23 for 150 and a touchdown. Florida ran for 172 as a team, 2 rushing touchdowns. Bear Blake Shapen, 324 yards to the air, threw a pick in the game. Mississippi State rushed for 144 yards. Davin Booth with 105 rushing yards to his credit and 2 touchdowns on the ground. But again, Bear, at the end of the day, it is Florida getting a win despite the fact that everyone essentially knew that this would be Billy Napier's final contest. So thoughts on the ball game? I guess the bigger takeaways might be from Mississippi State, because what can you really take away from this point for Florida? Because who knows what they're going to look like at this with an interim coach going throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, you're 0-3 in conference play. You had an opportunity to be able to get the job done. You were able to get the ball back in your right time, and Blake Shapen throws a very, very bad reception. Again, great play by the defensive lineman to kind of go on up and bat down the ball, and it land directly in his chest. But still, you had your opportunities. I'll give a lot of credit to Mississippi State. They were able to trust their ground game. I mean, Xavier Gayton didn't do much, and Kamario Taylor didn't do much on the ground, but they trusted that Davin Booth was going to be the dude. And guess what? Over 100 rushing yards, average 4.7 yards a play, 2 touchdowns, 3 runs of over 14 yards downfield. Brennan Thompson, Anthony Evans, they delivered. Both had over 100 receiving yards. You took advantages against a very, for my opinion, quality secondary. You just didn't have enough gas, I think, was really kind of the bottom line. For Florida, you did enough. You want to send your coach out on a high note. You did so. The wide receivers, again, made plays. Jaden Baugh looked like vintage Jaden Baugh, the one that we envisioned to be the best running back in the SEC. I mean, you're averaging 6.5 yards a play. He had 9 runs of over 15 yards downfield, 150 yards on the day. Like that was what we envisioned this year for Billy Napier. And yet still, it wasn't enough. But you know what? It was good enough to get the job done. DJ Lagway, again, there's things that you got to change offensively. Maybe it's your throwing motion. Maybe it's who you're working with. But something's not working. It's very clear at this point. But at the end of the day, there was enough juice to be able to get the job done. I think from Florida's standpoint, Mississippi State just had too many self-inflicted wounds. I mean, and again, it was completely different. They had more penalties than Florida. Actually, they had the same amount of penalties. They had the same amount of turnovers. It was pretty even keel when it came to the time of possession. I mean, Mississippi State had the football 10 more seconds to Florida. You had almost the same amount of yards, almost the same amount of first downs. You were better on third down. Still, this came down to just like very, very minor details. You know what this really reminded me of? How well Florida had recruited as a staff over the last few years, to where the big boys, the talent, it outweighed the talent of Mississippi State. Kind of the bottom line. That was really it.
That was it. Now Florida, again, really, I mean, the storyline for them the rest of the season is going to be who will the next head football coach be in Gainesville. Meanwhile, for Mississippi State, Bear, they still look for that first SEC win of Jeff Lebby's tenure. Texas comes to town this weekend. A very, very interesting ball game. If not that one, you've still got at Arkansas, Georgia at Mizzou, and then Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. So running out of opportunities, but still a lot of big opportunities left for Mississippi State. And again, Florida on their homecoming and those fantastic unis and helmets they were wearing, they do find a way to get the win. So kudos to Billy for one more night of good vibes with the Gators. So,
yep.
Guys, that's it. Week 8. What a week it was. Week 8 officially in the books. And Bears, we look ahead to week 9. I will say this. Obviously, guys, we'll be back on Wednesday previewing, predicting, breaking everything down, game previews throughout the week, predictions, all that good stuff, best bets. You already know the drill. Week 9, a lot of road favorites. That was the early takeaway I had. And to me, that spells chaos, Bear, because all them road favorites ain't winning. I can assure you of that. As you and I both know, it is tough to win on the road in this league. Bear, let's get into our overreactions and our attaboys of week number 8. Your overreaction from what you saw from the week 8 slate.
Vandy hosts a playoff game. I mean, if that's
God, I hope you're right.
if that's the version of Vanderbilt football that we see the rest of the season, they will be at worst 10-2, and they will host a playoff game. They will be what? The 9, 8 seed, 7 seed? Like, is that what we're talking about? Yeah, they will figure out a way to host a playoff game. That is my overreaction. Pavia looks awesome. He's almost unstoppable to bring down when he plays his version of football. This is a legit defensive line. They're able to get after it. I feel that they are in such a good position at this point where if that's what we see every single week, the only way they're losing is if another team is able to outgain them. And honestly, is another team going to be able to outgain them? I don't know.
The college football world, Bear, needs Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores in the college football playoff.
Oh, 100%.
Especially hosting a game in Nashville. My goodness. We'll have to fly the Bear down here to make it a big trip for the boys. Bear, my overreaction, we are going to have at minimum 5 changes in the SEC this year at head coach. And maybe that's not a crazy take, but Arkansas is already in the books. Florida is already in the books. Hugh Freeze is going to be gone. I think that Brian Kelly very well could get let go if things continue to go south. I think Mark Stoops could get let go if things continue to go south. I feel like am I missing one? Maybe not.
You're not including potentially Ole Miss losing Lane Kiffin to Florida. And the other one that's really important that we have to bring on up, because I'm not sure if he's going to
Eli Drinkwitz, maybe.
I got a better one for you. Lane goes to Florida, Eli goes to Penn State. Or humor me. We can go even further, and this would be crazy. Lane goes to LSU, Eli goes to Florida, Clark goes to Penn State.
Oh.
That would be chaos.
Where does Brian Kelly go in all that? The gulag? The gulag. The beach.
The beach.
The lake.
With his family.
Yeah. God. Yeah, no, I think we're going to have at least 5 changes. It is, a year after what happened last year where we had 0, you and I, we all said, hey, buckle up because 2025, it's going to be, blood will be shed in 2025, and it's already started, and I don't think it's slowing down anytime soon. There are a lot of fan bases in this conference right now, Bear, that are very disgruntled with their current situation.
Yeah,
just put it
for
that
sure.
way. Just put it that way.
One more overreaction. If Lane Kiffin is hired at Florida, he tells TJ Lagway to shove it. I think he wants to bring in his own quarterback.
Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if DJ would go to Texas A&M.
That is where my brain first went.
Yeah.
Marcel Reed also. They give him a little bit of credit. He belongs at this point very much in the Heisman race. Not saying he's going to win it. Not saying he's going to show on up, but I know we have a lot of A&M fans that watch the show. He earned my respect this weekend. Again, 4 touchdowns on the day, over 300 yards of offense. Looks the part. Like very, very, very solid performance that you can be happy about.
Trying to think if I had one more overreaction, but I'll just keep it with what I had. The coaching changes. I think we're gonna have a ton of them. Bear, attaboy of the week. You go first.
Guys, I'm going to be completely honest. Tonight has been a very, very, very rocky show for me. I didn't talk about this beforehand because I'd been dealing with it earlier. My attaboy is to my dad. Our family dog, Brady, is going to be put down tomorrow. And we had 14 years with him. And he was a lovable dog that went through so many health concerns. But every single time that he walked into the room, he was excited. He was wanting pets. He wanted to be around the people. And he made life a little bit easier because of, at the end of the day, when you don't have everything in your life going your way, the love of a dog and the love of a companion that gives you nothing but pure joy is something that is very hard to replace. And so my attaboy is to my dad, because if he's going through a really not rough night, and my attaboy is to anybody out there who is a pet owner. Give your pets a little bit more love and attention tonight. Throw the ball a little bit longer. Go out for the extra walk. And always make sure that you let them know that they are a good boy or a good girl. So attaboy to Tommy Thompson tonight.
Attaboy indeed, Bear. Very well said. Very well said. Yeah. Hard to follow that one up. My attaboy is going to be my guy, Steve Veach. Works for Vandy football. Always takes care of me. Linked us up with tickets this weekend. And, he's been the one that's toured me around the facility and everything, and has really, become a good friend of mine, and, given us the ability to get access to Vanderbilt football, Vanderbilt athletics at times. Was out with him Friday, linked up with him Friday. He was working the baseball scrimmage. We had a really good time out at Hawkins Field. Went out there for a few innings, and again, went to the game yesterday because of him. Went out with him last night. So attaboy to my guy, Steve Veach, and really, really attaboy, Bear, to the city of Nashville and all of the fantastic people that I have met that have really embraced me, embraced SEC Unfiltered, embraced us, from people that are fans of the show per se to people that are just my buddies that, they just rock with it and they support, show love, and attaboy to all of you. I really would genuinely appreciate it. I mean, Bear, it's to the point to where, like, I can already say, like, moving to Nashville was the best decision I've ever made. One of the best decisions I've ever made. And I told my buddy this over the weekend, Bear, and I want to say this too, because it is true, man. Like, I would say this to anybody and everybody, and I hope Bear feels this way. I hope everybody that works with us feels this way, but I can speak from my vantage point and tell you all this and tell you all thank you, because there may be entities out there, right, that have more followers than us, or maybe they're doing this or they're doing that, and we're running our own race. We're not really comparing ourselves against quote unquote competition. We do our own thing. We have as much fun with it as possible. We're unapologetically ourselves. We're unfiltered, and we let our work go out into the ether, and we feel pretty strongly it resonates with people at a pretty high level, right? I would argue, and I would agree with that. But again, I say all that to say, Bear, like, we may not have the biggest following, or but there is nobody having more fun than we are having. There is nobody out there. I know for me, there's nobody out there having more fun than I'm having right now. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my career, professionally, personally. I just feel like every day is a treat, a blessing, doing so many different things, so many cool things. The community we've built here is really, really incredible, and it wouldn't be possible without all you guys. So attaboy to the audience, everybody in Nashville and beyond. It's just we're in a really, really cool chapter of things with the business and, what we're doing and the content we're making and the style in which we're doing it, the freedom with which we're doing it. It's man, it's really neat. So I just want to say thank you guys. So it's I don't take it for granted every time I'm on the road. Certainly being here, it's like I try to remain, and I think I do a pretty good job of remaining as present moment as possible, because I don't want to look back and say, like, man, I kind of took it for granted, or I wasn't fully present moment realizing how awesome it is what we're doing. I recognize it. Like what we're doing is pretty damn special. It's pretty freaking awesome. We're living people's literal dreams. And my life is a dream. I feel like every single day that we get to wake up and do this and travel and talk about it. And, we're making content. Some of it we're being strategic about it. Some stuff we're just doing because it's fun. We just like it. And that's the best kind. That's the purest work. So anyways, I know I'm going on here, but yeah, appreciate y'all, man, for real. We're having a blast. So
one more attaboy just real fast. Marcus Brooks, and again, I will always give shout outs to people when they do this. I love the fact that people want to give me helmets. And if you guys want to give me helmets, I'm not going to say no. So Marcus Brooks, he called me after the show and said, I'm going to give you a Texas A&M helmet. We got it. It's part of the chapter. And one more shout out to my man, Dylan Baskins, because I made it clear on Thursday's show, man, there'd be nothing better than to have a hottie toddy blue Ole Miss helmet. And my man called me and said, brother, I want to get you that helmet. And so that's on its way right now. So thank you to Dylan. Thank you to Marcus. And anybody else out there that wants to go ahead and collect the collection, we are on the way because I got another one coming. So we're going to have 7 very soon. Let's finish the job. I would love to get a Vanderbilt helmet from somebody very quickly to add on in because Diego Pavia, just remember who talked about him first, well before he became a known entity. I'm going to claim Baba Yaga because I guarantee you he's going to hear that.
Let's make sure Bear runs out of shelf space. That's the goal.
Exactly.
We need to make sure Bear runs out of shelf space. Guys, let's go ahead and put a pin in it. Again, really fun show. It's always fun on Sunday nights. Sunday Fun Day, week number 8 edition officially in the books. Guys, week 9 is here. Crazy. Week 9. Week 9. Soon we're going to be talking college football playoff rankings and projecting the bracket and we got real fall football. There's a briskness in the air outside. I don't know about the state of Texas, but at least here we got it down to like mid-60s, Bear. I was like, we've made it. So anyways, Sunday Funny in the books, guys. We thank you all so much for everything. Before we get out of here, do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel because as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's got an offer. You don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel's got you covered. The NFL season's here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action today. Guys, content bleeding out of the eyeballs. We'll have a hot board talking Florida's coaching search early Monday morning. Also, of course, y'all know the drill. Previews, predictions, every single game, full breakdowns. The overtime drive then will return on Wednesday where we will do our full week 9 preview, best bets, more previewing of the games, more predictions, our pick 'em, taking your questions and comments. It is going to be a really fun week. And, of course, embarking on to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, one of my favorite places, LSU A&M SEC Unfiltered Tour, week number 9. Once again, guys, the Overtime Drive, SEC Unfiltered SEC Football Show, the best SEC football show on the internet. He's Cole the Bear Thompson. I'm Chris Phillips. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. Check us out where you get your podcasts, all your social media platforms, our website, secunfiltered.com. We're signing off for the Bear. I'm C. Philly. Y'all take care. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. We'll talk to you all on the other side. Cheers.